G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the allegations made against Peterbot, the NA East Pro, of whether or not he is hacking. And these allegations weren't just made by anyone, they were made by none other than the World Cup champion Bugha. And I want to talk about why Bugha and pros like Tayson are posting clips and talking about how it's suspicious, while there's pros like Bucky and Kanata looking at the exact same clips and saying there's no chance this is hacking. So I want to talk about why that is and why it's so confusing and how we need to approach these situations when people see things that look suspicious or whether people think other players are hacking. Also, I want to talk about who qualified and who didn't, because we had some big names make it into the round 4 finals this week for FNCS, but we had some big names like Clix, Bucky, and Creo unfortunately fall short. So as always, I'm going to go through the drop spot maps, who's dropping where, what am I looking out for, all that kind of stuff, which you guys always love. And at the end of today's video, I want to take a chance to talk about a topic that a lot of people talk about, that Fortnite zones aren't random, and specifically in FNCS, they have a big tendency to pull towards the edge of the map and mountains. How many times do you get a Missy Mountain or a Camp Cod zone in FNCS? I saw so many today that I swear Fortnite has like tweaked the probability or something, and I want to talk about that, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on whether you agree. First off, before I show the clips and I talk about this whole situation with Peterbot, normally when players get accused of cheating, I like to avoid the topics for one specific reason. Same as what's happened with a lot of people in the past, like Dubs. When people get accused of cheating and we start this big witch hunt just based on clips, it's not really fair in my opinion sometimes. Everyone goes out of their way to go through and break down their gameplay and try to find evidence of them cheating, and more often than not, they're not actually cheating. It's just one clip that looks a little bit weird, because there's a lot of weird clips when it comes to Fortnite in general. When you've got bloom, sometimes you get a better bloom. Sometimes players have micro stutters and micro adjustments that look really suspicious when you slow them down. There's all that. Some of the cheating topics I've covered in the past is usually when there's other evidence that comes out behind the scenes. There's other evidence that actually suggests they maybe got in contact with someone with cheats. Maybe they had some suspicious software on their PC. Something like that that's a bit more concrete than just clips. But today's topic got so much attention, I wanted to cover it and I wanted to shed some light on it to see if I could maybe get people to understand a little bit better both sides of the situation. I'm not going to try and pick sides and be like, oh my gosh, Peterbot's hacking, or oh my gosh, how dare Bugha call out Peterbot for hacking. You guys know me, that's not my style. First, let me show you the clip of Bugha breaking down Peterbot's gameplay on stream, which DJ then went on to post on Twitter that got all the attention. This is the clip. This is the play that a lot of people are saying looks incredibly suspicious, before I go into more depth on the situation.
They're hit my search, they're coming out, they're hit my search! Hit my search, hit my search!
Yo! Now, there's also a clip of Bugha going and slowing it down and breaking it down, and you can understand why this got so much attention. It does look pretty crazy. The wall breaks, Peterbot instantly locks on and absolutely beams the guy. And when you slow it down, when you slow down any clips, it always looks a bit more suspicious. This is what happens with a lot of situations with a lot of pros in the past when they get accused. If you slow it down, any micro adjustment, when you really quickly flick to a character, it looks almost robotic. But when you have enough gameplay, when you play enough Fortnite, there's always going to be those suspicious clips, and I guarantee there's them of almost any pro, either just getting really good bloom or flicking on and targeting to players. Again, I'm not saying that it does or doesn't confirm anything, but this is the clip that's dividing a lot of players. A lot of players, when you when you slow it down, you can very clearly see the player's shadow, or you can see like where they're standing behind the wall. So again, a pro player would be able to adjust and lock onto that with a fast reaction time. Other pros, such as Peterbot's teammates, even coming out and saying, if you watch earlier in the VOD, you can see the players there, and it's just a good spot to assume they're going to be. If the wall's getting sprayed, they're going to back up into the corner, all that kind of stuff. And what I'm here to talk about is not breaking down the clip. I'm not going to try and go frame by frame and, oh, this micro stutter was... That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about how this stuff can be dangerous and why sometimes the community goes way too far on jumping on these kind of bandwagons. First off, no disrespect to Bugha whatsoever, or any pro who's like, getting involved in this, because again, they're versing these players, and I fully understand why pros feel like they need to make these clips, or why they want to expose people, because they want to know that people they're versing aren't cheating. That is the problem with online tournaments. It's a reason why before COVID, most people just didn't care about online tournaments. Like, if you talk to most CSGO pros and someone was like, yeah, I'm the best at CSGO in the world, I just won this massive online tournament, most people would laugh at you, because they'd be like, you didn't do it at LAN. Like, doing it at LAN was the way to prove that you are the best, because not only online is there cheaters, there's just other aspects that come into play. But with Fortnite being entirely online now, now, and it has been for a really long time, there's always going to be this element of feeling like everyone's cheating, because there has been a lot of exposed cheaters in the past, and unfortunately, Fortnite's anti-cheat doesn't always catch them. So the logic that if they were cheating, Fortnite would know doesn't hold up, because there has been cheaters that have only been exposed by other players that have then been found out to be cheating. But at the same time, there's also cheaters who do get picked up by the anti-cheat, like we had Kez during FNCS. So it has happened before either way. Also, Fortnite being a bloom-based game makes it really, really hard to figure out. Sometimes players just get really, really good bloom. Sometimes they're really good at controlling bloom, whether it be crouch spamming, whether it be good sensitivity, whatever it is, sometimes players are just better at doing it. So some clips look worse than others. It's not like a normal game with just a recoil pattern where you can be like, wait, why does the gun have no recoil? Some players are just getting really good bloom, but when there's programs out there, when there's hardware out there that can reduce your bloom and make your character lock onto targets, that's when people get suspicious. And I'm not going to advertise any of these programs or any of this hardware. Obviously, I don't condone cheating at all. I don't understand the fun in it. I don't understand how people can do it and then be okay with that. Again, it's just, it feels like a weird situation to me. But again, I'm not here to condemn anyone. I'm not here to witch hunt anyone. I just want to shed some light on the situation. Also, when you've got pros who play on insanely high sensitivity and they are as good as what they are these days, micro adjustments and flicking onto players and things like that is gonna look suspicious, but it doesn't always mean they're hacking as well. Obviously, Peterbot is now under, he is under the microscope. I'm sure players are going back through all his gameplay, trying to find suspicious clips. I've been watching Peterbot streams for a really, really long time. I haven't really seen anything suspicious. I was doing a viewing party today, and I didn't actually watch this moment happen. Again, on stream, I would have thought it looked a little bit suspicious too. Bugha's chat very quickly jumped on it to be like, wait, that looked bad, and I get that it looked bad, but I'm just saying that just because there's one bad clip doesn't always mean that someone is hacking. The reason why Peterbot also is more under the microscope here is because he was a controller pro on console who is now on mouse and keyboard and has been for about a year, I believe. So anytime someone gets this insane this quickly, especially mechanically, people are always suspicious, and that's what makes me a little bit sad. Not saying that people shouldn't, and again, like I said, there's a lot of reason for pros to be suspicious, but it does make me sad with the amount of online tournaments and the amount of software and stuff out there that anytime someone starts to do well, there always seems to be this idea that they're cheating or they're hacking. Whether they are or aren't, it just always makes me a bit sad because it kind of devalues or really makes it hard for pros to come out of nowhere and start popping off, whether they've just been grinding behind the scenes. But again, like I said, I fully understand why pros are suspicious, and these guys are playing against them for massive amounts of money. They want to know and make sure that the players they're versing aren't cheating, because it could cost them their career. Like, they could lose tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the backs of these players. I'm sorry if you guys were looking for me to take sides or like break it down, but I just don't feel right doing it in a lot of these situations. The same reason why I avoid a lot of the drama. I just don't like the witch hunt that goes on with players based on a few clips and stuff like that. Other players and other people can do it. I'm not condemning anyone, and I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a better person. It's just not the kind of content I like to make, because I always feel bad for the person involved. It seems like Peterbot's handling it pretty well, and a whole bunch of pros have chimed in. Like I said, it's not just about my opinion. You've got players out there like Bucky, like Kanata, saying that this isn't cheating, it doesn't look like cheating, it's just one clip that doesn't look great. But again, like I said, with the rest of their gameplay, it doesn't add up. But then obviously you have players like Bugha, who, is a World Cup champion. He knows the game and he knows what looks suspicious, calling it out, along with a lot of other pros jumping on, being like, this looks bad. So I get both sides of it, but I'm just going to stay out of it, as I feel like the pros are more invested in wanting to find out who's cheating because they are personally involved in it, where me from the outside in, I'm just trying to give an unbiased opinion for those of you guys who are confused. Why is Bugha so sure that he's cheating, and then there's other pros who are so sure that he's not? The reason for that divide is everything I just explained. Now, if you guys didn't know, we did have round 3 of FNCS today, which means we went from the top 250 teams down to the top 33 in all the major regions, who are now going on to the round 4 that'll take place today or tomorrow for me when I make this video. As always, I'll be doing a viewing party for EU and NA East on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'll be using replay mode, doing some casting, having a good time, so make sure you swing by. But let's talk about who made it, who didn't, and look at the drop spot map. Now, you guys are always saying in the comment, Aussie, why didn't you mention so-and-so didn't qualify? Why did you talk about this team? It's really hard for me to know where to make the cutoff for like what the relevant teams are that you guys care about. So normally I talk about the big names, but obviously when I show the dropspot map, when I show the leaderboards, any team that isn't on there has either already qualified, because a lot of you guys keep asking me what's going on with Mr. Savage's team, what's going on with Sented's team. Remember, if they came top 3 in the last FNCS or top 3 in any of the existing weeks, they're already in grand finals. That's why they're not playing. But the big notable names that didn't qualify for round 4 this week would most likely be Clix's team, Mongrel's team, Mitro's team, Leshy's team. We had none of the big content creators like Nick A30 or Nick Merckx make it through. So I'll break down the dropspot maps, but just so you know, those guys didn't make it. Most notably on Clix's team, they got really unlucky. I like the way Clix's team handled this mentally. They didn't get tilted. They didn't make excuses. They said, look, like Bucky tweeted out, I know it looks bad that we didn't qual, but I think we played pretty well. Creators did a good job IGLing, chemistry and everything felt great. Was a ton of fun. Just had some bad last games, but actually think we're improving a lot together. It happens and we learn from it. But Bucky had a good reason for not qualifying. This is Bucky's last game. They were below Storm Surge. They needed a few more tags for the whole trio to survive. All they needed was a few points and they would have qualified. And look at this. I went back and counted this. Bucky blanks 6 times. 6 times where literally the bullet hits, the hit marker shows, and it does 0 damage. A straight up blank. Not just like, oh, you thought you were hitting your shots and they weren't. Bucky was genuinely hitting. If these shots landed, they would have survived. They could have easily clutched up the points and they would have been in round 4. So for them to have that good of a mental towards not qualifying when they had a very good reason makes me really excited for this team going forward. Their mental seems so much better right now. Let's take a look at the dropspot maps of the teams that qualified, looking first at NA East. Now, again, this map was made by FN Maxim. Big shout out to him for making a whole bunch of the maps for me. I really appreciate it. His Twitter will be in the description if you want to chuck him a follow. He does a whole bunch of maps for different tournaments in case you want to see them before I make a video. But there's a few things to note here. There's a few teams that I have an eye on because they've been playing really well and they're uncontested. So if I had to pick a potential top 3 for tomorrow's FNCS, I'm looking at Jamper Threats and Rise at uncontested Holly. I'm looking at Gabe Tahi, Sprite, uncontested Believers. We haven't seen too much from them this season, but I still think they are incredibly insane. And Stretch, Saf, Kanata at Lazy Lakes. Now, this could change, but they're the 3 teams I have my eyes on most with uncontested drops. Again, I mean, Jack Slack's Acorn has to be in there as well. Can I have 4? I'm going to go with 4. Jack Slacks and Acorn and uncontested Slurpee as well. I mean, FNCS champs, even Acorn today was tweeting out how insane he feels. He said it's like, it feels insane to be the best again or something along those lines. They're very much back and they're looking really good. Those are probably my 4 picks because they're insane teams, really consistent with uncon drops. But you have a lot of other teams that I think could do insanely well. People doubted Calc's new team with Styx and Gandhi. They played really well today, uncontested retail. You obviously have Zlem, Narwhal, and Divine, uncontested kind of John Wick split, which is really underrated. Paper, Nico, and Qua looking really good right now. Paper looking insanely good even in the DreamHack duos as well. Uncontested Stealthy, Stacky's team at the Stacks as well. There's a lot of good teams to look out for. There's some that I obviously haven't mentioned. I mean, you've got, again, NPen's team at Boney. Like, there's good teams here. So, I mean, if just because I don't mention them, don't flame me if they don't do well, but I'm just going off previous placements. Now, where are the spots that are going to be fun to watch? Obviously, we have Colazo. He made round 4 this week. Said he's going Corny Complex no matter what. Degen Ages Skittles have already qualified out of Corny Complex, so they aren't contesting today. I was hoping we were going to see Colazo get an uncon because I want to see Colazo pop off. Just a good friend of mine. I'm just super biased towards Colazo. I love the guy. He's going up against Nani, Tetro, and Glace. So we'll see how that fight breaks down. Could be a fun one to watch, but the fight that undoubtedly will be the one to watch is Macwood, Illest, and Tragics against Peterbot, TK, and P-God at Craggy Cliffs. Peterbot, TK, and P-God have been going Craggy Cliffs for a long time, especially Peterbot, obviously with all the drama surrounding him. Like I said in the start of the video, I'm imagining socials will be quite interesting tomorrow. I mean, it's Macwood at the end of the day. My man is very funny. He's very vocal. I could very easily see them losing a spawn fight. you know the cheating allegations are going to get thrown around. It is going to be a lot of content tomorrow. Obviously, as well, we have some other big teams. We got Berserk's team going up against Trap at Dirty Docks. We're going to have Crumble go against Ved at Weeping Woods. This Weeping Woods fight has been going on the entire season. I swear the drop isn't that good, but it's always contested. So we'll see who wins that one. We have the French-Canadian team of Pam Stew's team always at Misty Meadows trying to hold down their drop against Ailes team. Sizz Lucky going up against Seek for the kind of the Bizzle Mountains, as I quite often call them. Bizzle's team didn't qualify. They're not dropping there, so we'll see how they go out of that drop spot. Haven't seen too much from them. I think Visuals, Joji, and Frisk could also be a very underrated pick out of Bugha's drop spot, going that henchman house to the north, especially with two teams contesting at Craggy Cliffs. I think Joji's team could very easily rotate over, get some good tags, and really cause a lot of headaches for the teams that are fighting there. I'm just adding this in here as a little edit because I know you guys are going to be freaking out. I have no idea. Afterwards, I moved away and realized I just didn't talk at all about Scope, Blake, and Okas. They've been doing very solid. They have their uncontested Pleasant, which I think could be really good for them. I don't want to call them as a top 4 as much as I love them. If they came top 3, I would be so incredibly happy. They're one of my favorite teams. I love everyone on that team. I've been gassing up Scoped and Blake, especially for a really long time now. They kind of have this underdog story despite being insanely good, just because they did play so highly in the past and they've had a few good seasons, nothing too insane. They kind of have the community around them wanting to see them do well, especially Scoped. My man has been grinding like crazy. He's had coaches, been putting in the hours, really trying to find a good team he can perform with. Same with Blake, same with Okas. So they're a fan favorite of mine. Do I think they'll top 3? No. But if they did, I also wouldn't be surprised. They've been performing really well in the qualifiers. It'll be interesting to see how they go in another set lobby. Last week, they had the center map. They didn't know the rotations that well, didn't know the drop spot that well. They're way more experienced at Pleasant Park. Because Two Fishies team didn't qualify, they're obviously uncontested, so this is their week to pop off, and I really hope they do. Now, let's take a look at EU, and now this was brought to you courtesy of Guild Ginger, so again, please check them out. They make drop spot maps for all the EU tournaments, do a fantastic job. If I'm going to do the same thing, if I'm going to pick out some teams that I think are looking really good out of EU, especially off the drop spot map, if I'm going to go with 4 again, it's got to be Tayson's team at Believers Beach. So Tayson, Vino, Rezon at Believers Beach, Uncon, Kami, Seti, Teak, of course, at the Kami Split, Anas, Thomas, and Flick at Dirty Docks looking insane. And now this is hard. Kiriachi, Toos, and Stormy have uncontested Slurpee, which looks really good for them. But I also love looking at Rezumi's team at uncontested Lazy. I'm gonna have to go with the Russian Ukrainian team. Kiriachi, Toos, and Stormy, I think with uncontested Slurpee could do insane things, and they pretty much have to, because they're not gonna get uncontested again. That team is definitely making heats, but this is their chance to get top 3 to make it straight into grands and not have to worry about being contested in the future weeks. So I'm thinking my 4 teams: Tayson, Kiriachi, Kami, and Anas. I think those are my 4 teams coming into this one. But there's some big fights to look out for in EU. I mean, we have Corny Complex again, triple conned. EU loves Corny Complex. Bad Snipers team going up against Steel Luke's team, I believe I've pronounced that, and Robin's team. That is going to be an insane fight to watch as well. Craggy being contested on EU2. We also have Steamy Stacks being conned this time. Nate's team against Malibuka. Now, Malibuka has been doing really well. A bit inconsistent in some of the tournaments, but overall, in my opinion, doing phenomenal. So I think that is going to be an insane fight to watch. We have Pleasant Park being contested. We have Bobby and Pickers going up against each other. Misty Meadows, I imagine at least one of these teams is going to go Misty Mountains, but I think the 2 highest caliber teams going head to head on a drop spot is going to have to be Misty for EU. Forzia, Andalix, and X-Sweezy going up against Floki, Deceptos, and Clement. That is going to be a very interesting spawn fight to watch indeed. I'm excited for that one, especially with a team on the mountains. We have 2 teams going Craggy. I don't think Craggy really is worth contesting at the moment. I think if you can't claim it and someone else has it, probably just leave it. Nikov's team going Colossal. No! Coral Castle. Sorry, it's very late. I've had a long day. I did a 12-hour viewing party today and it's late. I'm sorry. Coral Castle, which is still there. You guys know my thoughts on Coral Castle. Not my favorite drop spot, so it's nothing against any team that goes there. I just think that if any team ever actually gets a top 3 out of Coral Castle, they could maybe have the claim to be the best team in the world, because that drop is just impossible to make work. But just like NA, EU's drop spot map is looking very spicy. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about really quickly in the video, it's already a super long video, but zones aren't random. And I know a lot of people have talked about this in the past. You have players like Destiny Jesus and coaches out there talking about theories on how to predict zones and how zones work. But why are they all going south? This has happened so many times. I remember OC FNCS 11 out of 12 games went south. I remember EU FNCS when like 6 games on one day all finished at Slurpee. But today, I have never in my life seen Camp Cod and Misty Mountains so often in my life. Like 80% of endgames were going as far south as they could. I'm not complaining because I love watching them. Misty Mountains and Camp Cod zones are some of my favorite. They're insane. They go up, they go down, back across the mountain, through the water, out over Camp Cod. Like, they're really cool to watch, but I feel for the players. They're one of the hardest to play in, but I just wanted your guys' thoughts. Are you getting a lot of south zones? Are you getting a lot of north zones? Why do zones always go to the edge of the map? Or is it just confirmation bias? Because I'm now looking out for these really bad zones, am I just seeing them more often? But it can't be. Like, I watched 8 games in a row today that all went Camp Cod, and I wasn't picking the ones at Camp Cod. If you guys haven't seen my viewing parties, I just look for whoever's end game, click on them, and that's when I see where the zone was. And they just kept going to the mountains and Camp Cod. I tweeted a few days ago about DreamHack. I said, oh, DreamHack must be rigging their zones for entertainment. But again, they were all going south. If you're a team dropping far north right now, you are seriously struggling. I almost guarantee there is a favoring to the south of the map, but I don't know why Epic does that. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on anything I talked about today. Like I said, swing by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'll be doing a viewing party for round 4. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'd love to say g'day. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.